Hey guys, alright, so, um, if you saw my tweets, then you won't be surprised that we are not going to the just chatting screen. Um, I've mentioned it previously, but I am growing out my hair for a while. The idea is that in a few months I'll hopefully be able to get some sort of mullet going, but for that to happen, I need to grow out my hair because at the length it is currently at, I cannot rock a mullet. I can sort of rock one if I slick my hair back, but it doesn't work quite right. So because my hair, as it gets longer, especially the left side of my head where I typically shave all of it down to a 1, if any of you understand what that means. It's just like the razor guard level. But because I typically shave it down to a 1, when it starts to grow out, it gets very spiky, especially because I have straight hair. So I end up looking a bit like a porcupine. So because it is very unmanageable and porcupine-esque, especially in the back, I have elected to just turn off my camera because, I've gotten comments in the past when I haven't even been growing out my hair, when I've been at college at a place where, I can't exactly get a haircut. Like, when I say that, I mean I literally cannot get a haircut. For I think a semester or two, I had a barber on campus, just a fellow student who was cutting people's hair in a dorm room. And I just happened to find out about him through another student, through a friend of mine. But he has since moved off campus and raised his prices to a ridiculous cost, which, like, the price I would kind of understand because he's a little bit of a hot commodity around here. There really aren't that many places to get a haircut around here. But the moving on top of the price change was a lot. Just because he's not near any of the bus stops or anything. So if you're a college student who doesn't have a car, you have to get off the bus, walk a ways to get to him, and then pay, for a college student, a quite high price for a haircut. And for me, it's really not that crazy of a haircut. It's literally just buzzing like half my head. So my roommate, I see one of my roommates outside. Sorry. I have the blinds up halfway because it's raining outside and I'm like losing my mind over the rain, and I just happen to see one of my roommates. But yeah, so because I typically can't get a haircut while I'm at college, I've had a couple comments in the past of just random people coming into chat and being like, what's up with your hair? Why is it all weird in the back or whatever the fuck? Which, by the way, rude. Don't comment on people's hair and shit. Like, if you're gonna comment something nice, go for it. But unless you know that it's a mistake or something, like that they slept wrong or something and it looks all spiky and it's gonna bother them, shut the fuck up. Like, if it's something like that, just shut the fuck up. But because of that, and because I know my hair is gonna be spiky and unmanageable for the next couple of months while I grow it out, I've just I've just decided to turn off my camera. So you will be able to hear my voice though. I'll try to keep talking as much as I can to fill that like sensory void, I guess. And then obviously I'll have the music going and the game going. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can already hear it, that my voice sounds a little weird. I apologize for that, by the way. Allergies are in full swing. The past, week, I didn't go to classes. Admittedly, I haven't gone to a lot of my classes lately. But, while we talk, why don't we get back into the game? Because, if you remember last time, I lost all my shit because I died. My silly little ass died going down a hole. But oh jeez. Okay. No door noise? Odd. Oh, you know, it's because I was fucking with my sounds, trying to get the... Yeah. I was fucking with my sounds because there was an area that was extremely fucking loud. Okay, cool, my subtitles are on. Awesome. But, do I need... Okay, I'll keep the sword on me. I don't think I need the shovel. I should probably make some more stuff if I'm being honest. Apparently I don't meet the requirements to be able to have the sword in hand and open my chest. I need more meat. But yeah, my allergies have been really bad the past, like, week. I don't know why. It's not like pollen is typically visible unless it's, like, one of those areas like you see on TikTok sometimes, or, like, just online in general where you see, like, literal layers of pollen. That shit's terrifying to me. But yeah, the last, like, week I've had a really stuffy nose, my scalp's been really itchy, just like all of the typical signs that my allergies are going haywire. So sorry if my voice sounds a little funky and if I'm sniffling quite a bit. Another roommate. What are the odds? Goddamn. But yeah, shouldn't be too big of a deal. Whoa. I'm assuming the red. Yeah, that's like a negative. Any item in the opposite hand slows down attack speed and reduces damage by 50% unless wielded by a titan. Can I be a titan? There's a lot of shields as well. Can I, like, make any of these? I can make... That's just a regular shield, right? Oh, I can make different shapes? Ooh, hot. That's hot. I apologize. Ankh shield. I feel like I hesitate to say that word because I feel like I'm not saying it right. Ankh shield grants partial fire resistance and immunity to knockback. Isn't that a an Egyptian thing? Grants partial fire resistance and immunity to knockback and some negative status effects when held or equipped in bauble slot. Bubbles. Okay, so we have a lot I want to do. I obviously want to upgrade our stuff. I want to go mining again, because that mine was dookie. We need more sticks. I need flint. Yes, that's what I need. I need a flint knife. How do I make that? A stick and a shard. Give me that. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure this gives me more sticks, maybe? I don't remember for sure. I know I need this for, like, the grass, but I feel like this gives me more sticks than if I was to do it by hand. We stand Jeff Goldblum in this house. Okay. I'm one of those people that if I played Red Dead Redemption 2 online more, I would 100% be hunting down the people that dress like the KKK. Which there are way too many of those people, by the way. Like, the amount of people that just casually dress like the KKK in that game and think it's okay is appalling. I feel like more people need to talk about that, by the way. I'm glad that they get their asses handed to them majority of the time, because that's just not funny. I don't know if they think it's funny, but it's not. Okay, so we have sticks. I think I had more iron, but I'm not 100% sure. I also hope to find name tags for these guys, because I have their names written down, but I want to name them so they don't just say Wolf above them. So, Rough Ruffman, Clifford, Balto, Goddard. Realistically, you should be Goddard and you should be Clifford. Yeah, you agree. But, you know, I color-coded you after I named you, so it is what it is, I guess. Osseous La Vida, you know? I have the right level for this shit, right? Please tell me I do. I don't remember what it is. It's J, right? No? Fuck, I don't remember. Whoa! I don't know what I opened. Oh, Y. Okay. But why? Oh wow, I don't even... Yeah, I can't use any of these, but it's okay. Dancing's what clip. That's not. Dancing's what makes me whole. Call it broken. It is not broken. Excuse me, game. Don't lie to me, motherfucker. Saying that shit's broken. I don't think so. Okay. We're gonna put the iron stuff away for now, and I'll just work on getting attack, mining, and gathering, I guess, all the way up to level 8. I need torches as well before I go. Make the torch. Oh, wait. Before I make them, do I have unlit torches in the chest? I know I had... Did I lose my matchbox? Did you just say yes? You smart aleck. You little smart fuckers. You smart motherfuckers. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I don't have any, so I'll make the torches, and then... Okay, let's matchbox. Paper and slabs. Do I have just straight up paper anywhere? I don't, but I have some of this, so that works. And then, bada boop. There we go, matchbox. Cool. Okay. We should be set, and now it's dark outside, so I have to sleep. Fuck. Well, I dilly-dallied, so that's on me. Oh, wait. Whoa! Yeah, give me a tutorial. Every part of your body has its own health, so if you fall from a high place, one of your feet will be damaged. This may cause some debuffs to apply, like slowness for damaged feet, mining fatigue for damaged arms, and so on. These effects may be bypassed by taking morphine, okay, or healing the wound. Wounds can be healed by applying bandages or plaster. Right-click the item. If you sleep in a bed, your body will automatically regenerate a little bit. A player can die if a critical organ's health, head or body, dropped to 0. In this case, the player would be dead no matter how much health the other organs have. You want to see your current health and active healers, just press H to open this interface with your health. That is the end of the tutorial. Is it actually H? It is. Okay. I didn't know if I rebound it. I had to rebind quite a few things at one point, I think. So, alright. I know I went looking for a cave before. If I can't find a cave, I'll just have to make my own, I guess. I'll have to go mining, which I really don't want to do because I'm pretty sure that that's a bad idea, but you know what? Fuck it. I say fuck it. Hello. You're pretty. Oh, thank you, nymph. Level 2. Don't mind if I do. Ooh, a little bit lag. Sorry about that, by the way. I know we're gonna deal with some lag, just because there's so many so many mods, and we're working with shitty Wi-Fi, but... Berries! Oh shit, I didn't grab my water bottles. I don't know how quickly I'll want to, like... Or I'll have to replenish my water. I have no idea. Oh. Did you try to steal my coal, you little bastard? Little rat fuck? Get away from me. Yeah, I'm taking the unlit torches out of my offhand. That's very annoying, actually. Trying to collect shit and it's just casually placing them down repeatedly. I'm also gonna steal... Are there frogs, or is that just ambient noise? So I'm gonna be sad if it is. Shit. Okay. That was spooky scary. Piggles. Oh no! Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on. Please, survive. Please, hold on. There you go. Are you alive? Da! Ah! Ah! Poison! I was poisoned. I didn't do anything wrong. What is your deal? What is your problem? I did nothing. I tried to save an aerosaur, you bitch. Yeah, okay, my best bet might just be to make a cave, I think. Also, that is where I went last time, and I lost all my shit, and then a weird occurrence happened where something spawned down there. I don't know if it was meant to, but something spawned down there that was, like, causing a bunch of lightning and thunder and shit. It was terrifying. Is that poop? Poop charge. That's... Huh. That's amazing, honestly. Poop charge. Blood leech. Bat takes off. What? Where's a bat? Oh wait, nymph. Can you heal me, please? Thank you. I got poisoned. You're like the opposite of the poison motherfucker. Yeah, I'm safe again. I feel all better. It's like I just got a kiss right on my boo-boos. Alright, let's go digging and hope that physics don't kill me here. So I have no idea if this is gonna be like an instant cave-in situation. Which is my immediate thought here. Desire for this. And when you say I'm not okay. Whoop. Let's go a little harder. What at? Is that the cave that I was in before? It is. That's kind of funny. That's kind of silly goofy. I like that blocks maintain how much you mined them, and I like that it slowly goes away if you ignore them. I don't know, it's just a nice little thing. What? Chupacabra? I discovered no such thing. I hear a zombie. Does a chupacabra sound like a zombie? Oh! A chupacabra is not a zombie! What is that? Did it hit me and then run? What a bastard. What a little bitch boy. Don't growl at me, you fucker. You slapped me and ran away. What did I do? From mom and dad for sticking two together 'cause we don't know how. Oh god. Oh no. Ensuring our further survival by placing a block. Watch we find out the chupacabra has mad hops. Or even worse, this zombie has mad hops. I'd sob. I don't even know where the chupacabra went. I got it, just don't get it 'cause there's nothing at all. And these feelings of all. This and this, nothing is forever. Then what makes love the exception? See, I don't even know where the chupacabra went. It literally smacked me and ran off. What the actual shit? I want to get rid of these so I just have a straight line, but I want to have a way to hide. Oh, what is that? Oh, is that the... okay. I think that's just an Enderman. Admittedly, I don't know if I've seen one yet. Holy fuck. It's a literal rat. Never mind, it's not a rat. And apparently, I think it moved my body after I died. I think it pushed me. It better not have taken my stuff. I wonder if anything steals your shit. Other than zombies, obviously. But I wonder if, like, other mobs just casually steal your shit and run like the, like the oh, there's the chupacabra. Anyway, like the what is it, like the dinosaur in Ark Survival Evolved. There's a dinosaur that runs up to you, hisses at you, steals your shit, and runs. It is truly a menace to society and to players all around the globe. Okay. I forgot I had more of those. Oh. Sorry. It does sneeze. Oh, it's the rat! Oh, that's what's- oh, it's the instability! Bug fixing 2 years faster than Mojang. Get fucked, Mojang. Not RLCraft absolutely coming after your ass. What even is this? Chaos Orb Charge. He's gonna come after me from behind, isn't he? Yeah, look at him. It's okay. I'm cheating, but I'm keeping him away. That's all that matters. He's actually dying pretty quickly. What a little weak bitch. Weak little bastard. Oh, and I got meat! Hell yeah. That's cool. Okay. Give me my shit back. I'm sorry, we're not listening to Michael Jackson right now. Go away, Michael Jackson! Anyway. There's my food. Cool. Okay. For a second I was like, what even is the point of food if you can't, if you're, like, you're not gonna regen, but I'm pretty sure you do regen. And also, you still have hunger. I'm a little stupid sometimes. Oh, Jesus. How much iron did I miss? I'm also pretty sure that I upped my defense enough that I could wear iron armor, so I need to remake my iron armor, because I know I lost that down in the hole as well. For context, for anyone that was not there, I went down a hole to see, because I knew it was going to be like a boss area, and it was. Or not a boss area, but like a loot area filled with mobs and shit, and it was. As soon as I went down there, there were witches and skeletons, which very lethal combination, by the way. 2 ranged motherfuckers, oh boy. But yeah, I went down there and immediately got bombarded. And I thought I'd be okay. And I was not. Am I freezing? Is that what's going on here? There we go, I'm warming up. I think I'm gonna pass a lot of this coal because I can come back for it. I also have to save this pick because I'm gonna have to go back up and make another one. If I stay near a torch, does it warm me up? I need a tissue. Oh shit, there's another one of the fucking rats. Oh, there's 2 rats. Oh. Oh. Fucking rats. I hate rats. I hate the fucking rats. Anyway. Oh my god! One spawned behind us! I can't even hit him because of the fucking... the instability it gives me. He makes me unstable. Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god! What? That is... that was not very pimp chimpin'. That was not very pimp chimpin'. I don't know if I was killed by a darkling. I feel like that title said something else, but I also was not paying attention. Yeah, that's a Gru. That's 100% a Gru, so something else hit me last. Or, no, this is the darkling, isn't it? Oh, get off me! Oh god! Get the fuck off me! Ew! Ew! Jesus! That is horrendous, and I still have to deal with the rat. Where's the rat? Rat's over here. Oh, fuck, not the rat. Whew, got him, okay. Gotcha, bitch! Okay. I don't even know what to do. I'll have to look up more on the orbs. Because I'm picking them up, like I'm getting them and I'm collecting them, but I don't exactly know what to do with them. Also, I feel like I should go sleep, because I feel like that's encouraging some of these mobs coming out. I need to make another pick anyway. Sometimes before it gets better, the darkness gets bigger. The person that you take a bullet for is behind the trigger. Oh. Sorry, I just blew my nose quick. Okay. Oh, much better. Burbed. Okay, I need... Where about the little knife thing? Or did I... Oh, I broke it, didn't I? Yeah, okay, so let's go get some more sticks. Oh. Oh. Oh, he fast. Wow. I need a better gig. That's funny. Whoa! Whoa! Fireballed by a zombie. Fireballed. Oh, why are you guys over here? Oh wait, I can use you. Come here. Come on, lads. Fight for me, kids. I actually don't know if they have anything to fight anymore. Oof, I almost killed him. Or at least hit him. That actually... Would they fight each other if I did that? If I hit him? I'm not gonna test it. Listen to that thunder. I apologize for anyone who's afraid of thunder. But holy shit. Dude, the weather today has been beautiful. I went to, it was called Rainbow Fest. It was supposed to be like a play. Not a literal play. It was like a play on the school's name. Because I go to Oneonta. I go to like a school in Oneonta, so it's... I'm just gonna type it here. So it was like Rainbow Fest, like that. Because we have a event called O-Fest, where I think actually this year, I don't remember who's playing this year. Oh, where's my meat? Anyway, but yeah, we have T-Pain playing this year, I remember. But we usually have like someone that the majority of the students vote on to play or whatever. And And so they had Rainbow Fest, which was like student student bands, and it was obviously, you know, supposed to be like pride themed, so it had like rainbow cookies, some, why are there only 2 of you? Did I only get 2 of you out here? Or the rest inside? Oh, thank God. There was pizza. There was a booth with like temporary tattoos, pride flags, like mini pride flags. It had a bunch of pride themed stickers. You could make like bracelets there. There was another booth about our LGBTQ plus community on campus. But the like main event was the student bands, cause I don't know, just cause why not? Oh, I think we just got some lightning. But yeah, we had student bands playing and stuff, and a friend of mine was like organizing and or hosting the majority of the events going on, and was also playing in one of the bands. So I went, and it was like a really sunny, nice day with like a fair amount of a breeze going on, so it was really nice out. And then I ended up leaving a little bit early just because I was there for like 2 hours, which isn't that bad, but I was like in the sun. It was there wasn't too much to drink. Like, they had quite a bit of food, but there really wasn't anything as far as drinks go. And then they had they had 2 water spout things, kind of like you'd see at like a lemonade stand or whatever, but because I got there a little bit late to begin with, they were already like halfway empty, and then every time I would go to get some more water, they were like getting closer and closer to empty, and I didn't want to be the asshole to keep drinking and like end up emptying them. So I ended up leaving, because like me in the heat plus not drinking as much as I feel is necessary equals a quick migraine. And I also just haven't been drinking as much as I should recently anyway. But should I bring I don't know. What I need is potatoes. I need potatoes. That's like top tier food, but I don't have it. But yeah, it was really fun. They played some really good songs. They played X's and O's. I don't remember what else they played. They played some original songs. We had a singer that's pretty big on campus, who played, and I've never been to any of his shows, so it was really cool to have watched. I'll cue a couple of his songs that I know. Oh, okay, I see the remix that he was talking about. He was mentioning at the show today that he just put out a remix of one of his songs, and I see that now. I do know him. Okay. He mentioned another guy, and I thought I knew the name, and I know the face as well. That's the cool thing, is technically him and I think, have the same major, so we've had a couple classes overlap and shit, which is very cool. The guy himself is very cool as well. Like, he's opened for Kesha, AJR, he's opened for Ryan Quinn, Joe Whiting, Nayla Pekarek, if I'm even saying the last name right. I doubt I am. Yeah, he's very cool. Okay. Enough of me low-key fangirling. I love that we have bands that are like legitimately really good and kind of making it on campus. Like, I hope that he continues what he's doing because he's very talented. What the fuck is that? What? I can't. Okay. I don't know what to do about that. I'm also a little concerned by that fire, if I'm being honest. Oh shit. I had my first love. There we go. Okay. Dead end, but I'm not mad about it. This is the guy that I was talking about. This is his song. And this is one of the songs he played today, actually. Why is it doing that? Yeah, I know it is. I'm trying to light a torch. There we go. Don't fucking help me. I'm so dumb. Ow. Shit. That looks like a bad. I'll turn him up a little bit. You're the center of my universe. She's in our orbit, but I had you first. Oh god, I just realized you guys can hear my fan. I apologize. I forgot because I changed my settings when I came back to college that the current settings are a lot more sensitive to my fan. I apologize. There we go. Okay. Oh shit. Oh! Fucking chupacabras. You're the center of my universe. She's in our orbit, but I had you first. You pulled me in and now I can't escape. So why is he invading our space? Oh. Oh, I don't like that that has a name. I really don't like that. Fuck. Shit, okay. I don't know where to go. There's like so many bads down here. Not that I have a lot to lose, but... Please don't go, please don't go. It is not pitch black. You are such a liar, game. Don't even. You pulled me in and now I can't escape. So why is he invading our space? Come on, there we go. It's like it was just barely in my reach. That was dumb. Can I have this? Mooncap mushroom. What do I do with this? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. This is another song, Viz. Then I saw you outside, you walked right out my door. But I'm not surprised you rolled that dice too many times before. This love is too hard to contain. I feel it in my veins. I hear the voice inside me yelling, run. But when you touch my skin, you know what you're doing. Just to pull me in. Stop that. It is not pitch black. You're such a liar. This love is too hard to contain. I feel it in my veins. Ears run, I hear the voice inside me yelling, run. But when you touch my skin, you know what you're doing. Still right there too. Okay. There we go. Slippy time. Guys, please. Did I get anything else? Oh, whoa. I don't remember making a healing salve. There we go. Got it in you. What? I know I brought it up to 8. Why is it? No one ever told you this could be so hard. What about now? Back. See, I don't know how this works. Every time I think I do, I don't, apparently. I think it only works when I'm killing things, which is obnoxious. I also don't know how to grow these, because they've just been sitting here. Sorry, squat. No. Ribbed. Excuse me. Oh! Whew. Hi, bud. You were in a very dangerous predicament. And I don't think you even knew. Look at you. You're just a little goober. You had no idea, did you? Yeah. Come on, Balto. Come on, bud. Yes. Inside, please. Thank you. You know, so you don't die. Much appreciated. Holy fuck. Okay. Let me put the meat with the meat. Ugh. Scaly flesh that oozes with blood. Love that for me. Truly. I don't know what this does. Is this like special? No, it's just a book that's named for no reason. Okay, well. That's cool, I guess. I also just have bobby pins, which is also sick, actually. I'm not gonna mess with this, but this is cool. Actually, wait. I don't know what the variants are, but yeah, I'm assuming this is my skin tone and stuff, so I'm not gonna mess with it. Alright, anyway. Oh, I see something named. Oh, Dark Nymph. Is that what poisoned me before? Oh, I'm bleeding. Ooh, I got it. Oh, and it dropped flowers. Whoa. Fable charge. Whoa. Cool. Very cool. There we go. Hell yeah. Let's throw a chest down. Here. We'll just throw the charges in it. I'm not gonna click on it with any of this, though. I don't want to blow up my house. There we go. Okay. Let's put another chest down for the miscellaneous plants. Like these. I mean, the tallow's not a plant, but I'm gonna put it with it because I can. What else? Plant fiber stays. Ginseng root. There we go. There we go. Cool. Okay. Ooh, there's like a blue tinge to my armor. My, like, armor bar. That's cool. I want to go check that out. So I'm gonna get some blocks. I should have batteries. Anyway, I should have some dirt. Yes. Get some dirt. No, that's clay. There we go, just a little more. And then here. I feel like that makes sense. I could probably use the wool as well. I doubt I'm gonna use it. Like, actually use it. I like to use it. And then let's cook the turkey, or not the turkey, the chicken. Because I have 0 food. I can't eat this until I'm hungry. I'm hungry. There we go. I think that might have brought up my water a little bit, but I'm not sure. Would you be my little quarantine? Or is this the way it ends? 'Cause I told you, level of concern. You walk by like you never heard. You can bring down my level of concern. Okay. We have some food. Would you be my little quarantine? Or is this the way it ends? There's something up there as well. Is this the guy I saved before? It might be. You know, back when I was assaulted by a nymph. There it is. I have a feeling I'm gonna need a fair amount of these. Ow, my knee. I'm sitting in a weird crisscross position, so my knee was pressed up against my desk all funky. Okay. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Hold on. There we go. And up we go. Okay. And hopefully, if anything decides to knock me out of the sky... Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Oh. We're glitching. We're glitching. Oh no. What happened? Oh. I have no idea what happened. Also, I don't know what's over there. Okay, so we're weirdly flying. Good to know. Oh. Did that fix it? There we go. Okay, I got it. We're good. We're gonna go slower. But yeah, if anything's up here and it says to knock me off, there's a boatload of water, so... I am low by a couple blocks. Damn. Oh. I zoned out. Okay. I don't need them, but I might kill those sheep just for the XP, so I can potentially up a level. Oh shit, what is that? What the fuck is that? Whoa. Whoa, what the fuck is that? Ah! Ah! Okay, so I was not killed by the Jengu, whatever the fuck. I was killed by the Strider, apparently. At least I know where I was. Can I sleep? Or is that gonna be a bad thing? Also, I apologize if you can hear the people above me dragging their furniture. The room directly above us is typically not very nice when it comes to noise. Like I mentioned it before on stream, they stomp around like crazy. And one of my roommates is pretty sure that they're like fucking weightlifters or some shit. It's insane. Why you're weightlifting on the 3rd floor is beyond me. Like, there's only 3 floors at that point. Why would you not pick a 1st floor room? But whatever. Working my ass off. The wool just spinning. Oh my god. Okay, well he's stuck in a tree. Hopefully, I think. So I don't have to worry about him. But I do have to worry about this guy. I'm just gonna keep punching. Oh. Oh, fuck. No! Shit. That is right. I did discover an Agelbemu, whatever the fuck that is. Okay, I have another sword, so I'm gonna bring it. Hopefully that skeleton burnt chasing after me. Alright, let's see how this goes. Okay, I see some of my items. Spinning casually in the water. Where are my pants? Oh, they're there. Okay, I think that's everything. So, let's try this again. It looks like the bubble dude went over there. But I don't know what his range is. Now we have several other things to look out for, and I don't... Yeah, I have, like, 0 view in the water. There's... Oh, there's another guy. Lovely. Okay. Well, let's see how this goes. Once I'm done, I'm just dropping in the water. Can I see them from up here? No, I can't. This doesn't surprise me. A little sad, but doesn't surprise me. Hello? Calm down. Okay. Calm down. Whoever the fuck is growling like that, Jesus. Is there nothing in here? Really? Wow. This was a waste. Literally pointless. I mean, it was cool to find out, but wow. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is that? What's going on over there? Hold on. I kind of want to go check that out, actually. Oh, shit. Okay. Alright, we're gonna go check it out. And hope I don't die from the things that are essentially patrolling around here. Look at that. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Oh, shit. Wait, are they fairies? Whoa! Whoa, look at this area. Holy shit. Whoa, are they nice? Please tell me they're nice. Please tell me everything over here is nice, other than probably the shit in the tower. Oh my god, are these their houses? Yo! Oh, guaranteed that thing is not nice. Guaranteed. But I think I literally just found a fairy village. This is so cool. Look at this! Oh my god, look at the houses! On like a path? This is so cute. I don't even know what this is. Is this a shipwreck? I might have to break into it to find out. I'm apologizing in advance if this is like some fairy kingdom faux pas for me to be doing this. Nothing? Yeah, it doesn't look like anything. Okay. Just dirt. Very cool, though. I'm assuming that tower is like the other towers I've seen. There's, like, bad stuff in there. Oh, shit, this guy. This fucking guy, bro. Whoa! Did he... what? Where'd my fucking sword go? Okay, that's cool. My sword just fucking disappeared. That's sick. No. No, Reaper. Fuck off. I love that I killed the Reaper. That's kind of funny. Damn. What do you drop? River fish, poison glands, and spectral bolt charges. That's cool. Whoa! Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay, I kind of want to creep closer and see the area over there. Yeah, look at that. It's like all nasty. That's cool. Okay, I'm gonna go back before that thing notices me and then comes to eat me. Because I know for a fact I'm not ready for whatever the fuck is going on over there. Can I take one of their houses? Oh my god, they're pixies! I am so sorry. I casually broke your house and picked it up. I'm so sorry. Is that actual fish? My luck, it's like a piranha or something. Oh, there's another one over here. We'll check them out. Sword at the ready, just in case. These actual fish. Silex. I don't know what the fuck that is. Whoa, and they drop lapis? That's cool. Okay, shut the fuck up. Alright, I know I'm drowning. I'm trying to pick up meat. Anyway. Alright, let's head home. Actually. How can I... I'll take it, I guess. Okay, anyway. Oh, there we are. Oh. Okay. There we go. Oh. Okie dokie. Toss myself in the bed. Cool. Okay. Oh, wait. Guardian boots. That's cool. Fish tracker. Whoa. How do I make a charcoal filter? Oh, I can do that. The foxes hunt the hounds. It's all over now. Before it has begun, we've already won. We are wild. We are like young volcanoes. We are wild. Americana, exotica. Do you want to feel a little beautiful, baby? Yeah. I'm assuming throwing the charcoal filter in there will do a good thing for me. Actually, wait. Ooh, okay. As soon as I make this regular water canteen, I'm upping it to iron because that's 6 durability. And that is hot as fuck. Out of assholes tonight. The foxes hunt the hounds. It's all over now. Before it has begun, we've already won. I have no idea how the charcoal filter part of this works, but we'll figure it out. I do need more leather, so let's go get some of that. Exotica, do you want to feel a little beautiful, baby? Yeah. I feel bad killing these guys because I kind of need to save a couple for future purposes, but I don't have wheat, and the wheat that I have growing isn't actually growing, so I really don't have a choice. Also, what are you? Gross. Literally disgusting. Quite literally revolting, actually. Also, I was briefly stuck. Oh my god. 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 Why is like everything level 2? Does it depend on the area? Does it depend on how good I am? Oh, it it threw. Oh my god. It tried to trap me. Fucker. Nasty bitch. Ugh. Gross. Anyway. Ew. Okay. Well. I wonder, did that up my attack? So does that mean I have to actively be doing things to up each of those levels? Because that makes sense. Now that I think about it. That makes more sense than what I was doing. Because I'm dumb. Tallow. There's some motion. Okay, there they are. Hi guys. What? Trying to levitate away from me. Jenny, why don't we keep it together? Jenny's got a body just like an hourglass. I wanna be the sand inside that hourglass. There we go. Ooh. What's that? Oh, you've leveled attack to 5. I did do that. You're so right, Busty. Okay, anyway. Let's head back. Do I even have enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I need 6. Fuck. Can I kill the big guys for leather? I feel really bad doing it. You're the guy I saved. Yeah, look at you with your 50% health. I'm not killing you no matter what. I'm killing you though, because I need levels. Sorry. I don't need the food, but I do need the levels. Taking my time. I wanna be the sand inside that hourglass. Unless you give it to me. Oh, this area. Yep. I remember this. Yep. I'm gonna take this. I don't think I've been over here, though. I also don't know if I actually investigated any of this over here. Oh god. Okay. Oh. Okay. That's very reminiscent of the other place that I went into. Whoa, there's a fire. Holy shit, that's not just a fire. Is that a fucking crater? Oh, whoa. And what is all this? Is this mud? I don't know what this is. I think it is mud. What happened? Oh, the dragon. Oh my god. Fuck. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Holy shit, I forgot about the dragon. Oh my god. I was thinking that it was a creature too, but I thought it was... Fuck. Ooh. I thought it was an instance, like, something spawned, like, in the dungeon. I was like, oh yeah, haha, something spawned and it must have just gotten out of control, but I was like, how the fuck did that happen? Because I wasn't even over here for it to have spawned. But no, it was the fucking dragon still over there, just burning the forest to the ground. No big deal. What the fuck? We are not listening to you, Michael Jackson. I told you before. We're not listening to Daddy Issues either. Although I have those, we're not listening to it right now. There we go. Oh, hello. Burp. I need to find more stuff, but I don't know where to go about that. Okay, I'm gonna leave that here. I'm gonna leave those here, this here. I'm essentially gonna leave everything I don't need here, because I don't need it. I just need to murder things. They don't know where you're at, cause you left with me and slipped out the back. Loki, Loki, you should really get to know me. Loki, Loki, you should really get to know me. Yeah, I know you've got some things that you can show me. Look at this, another one of the same fucking buildings where it's just a drop in the middle into absolute fucking chaos and death. What the shit? Also a tower over there, but I don't think I'm ready for that still. I'm pretty sure that tower specifically, the one to the right, has a whatchamacallit? Has a I don't think there's fire there. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it has a skeleton spawner, so that's a no-go. Yeah, I know you've got some things that you can show me. Loki, Loki, you should really get to know me. La 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 la. La 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 la. Alright. Oh. Oh, that's the alpha, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. It's the golden. Why is he spazzing? Can I kill one of these guys if he's just off to the side? I don't think I'm gonna try. What is this? It's like hidden in the trees. Oh, there's food. Best way to lure me in. Oh, I think I know this place. Oh, yep. I know this place. Ooh. It's dynamite? Oh my god. Oh, iron lockpick. Statistics. What? Coffee. That's cool. Ooh. Oh, this is lower than what I have. Is that better than what I have, though? Does that change? Oh, that lowered my stats significantly. What are they doing out there? Got a painting. Bread. A rabbit's foot. I can't believe that fucking dynamite, bro. I just want to start a flame in your heart. Yeah, I know 100% what's underneath me, by the way. That's like a whole fucking mess of shit, but it's a beautiful mess. I'm also gonna have to sleep here because it's dark out. Oh. And that one is you. No other will do. I know where I am, right? Oh, I can't go down there anyway. Like, in there, because I don't have a pick. I also don't like that these don't seem to want to stick, but... Actually, are any of these even open? Believe me. No, but that's perfect, actually. Okay. I don't know how it's going to be down here with the additional RLCraft mobs, so I definitely have to go back and get my shit. 1.6 attack speed, 4 attack damage. Fuck. 5 attack damage. This is 4 attack damage, but it has fire aspect 2 on it, so that's more. And apparently it's highly durable, so we're gonna keep you. Get rid of you. Get rid of you. I kinda wanna read these statistics. Oh, whoa. Huh. Okay, interesting. Not useful, though. I'll leave the rabbit hide as well. Unless there's anything I can do with it. Hold on. I just wanna be the one you love. No, there's nothing I can do with it other than the typical. I don't think so. Right? No, yeah. Okay. Anything with the rabbit's foot? Ooh, I can make potion ring of jump boost. That's cool. So I could give myself what? Permanent jump boost? That's sick. Oh, but I need 4 rabbit's feet. That's a big boo. Okay, I'll leave that shit here. Actually, what do I even use tallow for? Did I ever look? Tallow. You smelt it. Okay. What do I do with it? You can make candles. Cool. It's very cool. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I don't need this chest plate because that's garbo. So... Fuck, how do I remember where this is? About me said I'm nothing like you and I never will be. Someone who loves how it sounds when they speak. You're not telling the truth, no, you're just being mean. Holy fuck, okay. Oh, wait, duh. It's near the tree. Okay. Yeah, I know where the tree is. I can get back to this, I'm pretty sure. Because I'm almost positive the house is this way. Yeah, I'm almost positive the house is this way. Or is it? I feel like I'm going the wrong way. I think I am going the wrong way. Uh-oh. Wow. Said I'm nothing like you and I never will be. Someone who loves how it sounds when they speak. You're not telling the truth, no, you're just being mean. Oh, whoa, what is this? Those are bones. Right? Those are bones for sure. Those, I'm pretty sure those are bones. That's wild. Okay, where did I come from? Was it this way? Yeah, it was this way. I thought I was going the right way to begin with, but I guess not. Oh, there's the house. Okay. Huh, okay. Cool. Welcome to the madhouse. Place like this before. Welcome to the madhouse. I'm gonna put that in the corner just because I'm collecting it. Where'd I put my pick? Cool. There we go. Yeah, I really need to get that canteen going because the thirst really puts a damper on things, I feel like. I don't understand the minecart rolls thing that goes through my captions. I feel like I should just turn off captions. Because it is not helping me, I don't think. Usually I turn it on to help me with my surroundings, but it's just, I don't think it's helping. Yep, there it is. Okay, cool. Whoa, wait, can I climb any leaves? What the fuck? What the fuck? That's wild. Can I just like... What? How does that even work? Realism my ass. Okay. Si bella vida, si bella vida, si bella vida, si. Ooh, taking that. I can't use it yet, but I'm fucking taking it, bro. Alright. What? I can't break it? Boo. I have to keep it here. That sucks. Well, I can make my own when the time comes, but that kind of sucks ass. Ooh, all the food. Hot. I have no idea if I'm gonna need a tripwire, so let's look it up. Nope, definitely not. Actually. Nope. We can leave that in the snowball here, probably. Snowball. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna need either of those. Let's see where the cave overtakes this room a bit. Ooh, that's cool. Recall potion. Light gray rune? I didn't know there were runes. That's cool. Ooh, golden pet armor. Why is it called pet armor? What other pets can I have? That's cool, though. It's like an arena in here. That's cool. Oh, fuck. Shit. 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 Fuck. Oh, fuck. Well, at least I slept here last time. She says she usually don't, but I know that she front. Cause shawty know what she wants. She don't wanna seem like she's easy, but you know probably gonna do what you been feeling deep inside. Okay, I need my pick. Where's my pick? Shit. Fuck. It activated again, didn't it? Shit. Okay. Ooh. Bandage! Okay. Fuck, I have mining fatigue. Shit! Fucking fuck, bro. Alright, once this fatigue goes away, or is it... What is going on? Wait. Oh my god! Why was the fatigue not going away? It kept going down to like 5 seconds and then it would restart back at like 8. What was that? Was it one of the items I picked up? If it comes back, I guess I'll know, but what the fuck? Shit. Oh, fuck, get out of there! Okay. Fuck, I need my pick. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Okay. Get this bullshit out of here. What's that? Oh, there's different bandages, apparently. Right? Or did I regularly level up my magic and now it's just not saying? Oh no, there are different types of bandages. Huh, okay. I don't need the flesh. I don't need the mushroom. I don't know what else I'll need. I want to keep the reinforced iron blade, because that's sick as fuck. Okay, so that's everything in here. So this, yeah, this direction almost immediately goes downstairs. Yeah, there's a fuck, shit, fuck, fuck, shit, shit. Oh my god. Baby girl, my toes. What's the quickest way to turn you on the middle of the night? Tell me what you want. Oh my god. They're like playing fucking baseball with me. I was gonna go to sleep, but that's not gonna have any effect because there's the fucking spawner. Oh my god. I don't even know where my sword went. I can see the iron one plain as day, but I can't find the wooden one. It's irritating too, because they killed me and there's that hole, so some of my stuff's gonna be down in that fucking hole. Ugh. They're gone? Please tell me they're gone. They're not gone. Yeah, I can hear them. Fucking annoying bastards. Can you give me like 5 seconds to get my shit, please? Fuck off. You're not even a part of this, okay? You came in here after the fact. Don't even. What was that? Who exploded? Why? If I sound pissed, I'm not. I apologize, by the way. I wanna ass up and face down. It really does take a lot for me to genuinely get, like, pissed. So I promise you I'm not pissed right now. There you go. Fuck that dude. Is that my flint and steel? Is that my hard-earned flint and steel I found in a chest? All on my own? How fucking dare. Okay, don't come near me, please. I still have other dudes I have to fight off. I don't want to be hurt by you. Oh, where the fuck did you come from? Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna circle around you dudes. And get my sword. Shut. Fuck off. Quite literally, fuck off. I don't know. Oh yeah, this is the recall potion. I definitely don't need that. Where are you coming from? I lit up the other hallways. Where the fuck are you coming from? Or are you coming from downstairs? You're coming from downstairs, aren't you? Or no, because downstairs is in front of me. What the fuck? Where the fuck are you coming from then? Oh my god. Annoying. See, look at this. My shit's all over the place now. And there's a weird creature climbed in, gave me the plague. What the fuck? You feeling nervous? Are you having fun? It's almost over. It is almost over. Because we're gonna end somewhat soon. Once I get my shit back. These guys are obnoxious. Yeah, look at this fucker. What are you? What the fuck are you? Oh, I fought this guy before. Yeah, I remember this dude. Yeah, he's fucking gross. Go away. Go away. You're literally disgusting. Go away. Yeah, give me the plague, fucker. Okay, how is your hitbox not there? How is his body there, but his hitbox is not? Unbelievable. If you're gonna give him, like, a cool animation, add the hitbox. I don't know why that pissed me off so much. Oh, I hope that hurt. I hope that hurt like a bitch, bro. Did you fucking... Oh, you bastard. Fuck off. Cool. This guy's chilling. Chilling like a villain. Do 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 do. Yeah, give me the fucking poison gland. I need my pick, but I don't know where my pick is. And he's still there. Yep. Blame lag. I can't even if I wanted to. I was standing in front of him trying to figure out if I had my pick on me while he shot me in the face. Is there a way you can even protect yourself from them just shooting you in the head? Or is it just like, yeah, you wear a helmet? Just taking this, and then I'm pretty sure my sword is over here. Yeah. Put the helmet on, backing away. Get my sword out. Oh fuck, my sword is in a different hotbar slot. There we go. Need to get rid of this ASAP, but it's gonna be tough because all these fuckers are right here. Oh, fuck. Yeah, realistically, I shouldn't have just been sitting there whacking them like crazy because that's dumb. Yes, please fight each other. Well, now I'm in a predicament. They also spawned something a little bit chaotic that gave me slowness 4 and nausea. I just want my stuff. Just let me get my stuff. If I can't get my stuff in the next couple of minutes, then I'll just have to get it off camera, which is fine. Burp. Actually kind of handy that they're down there. Because they can reach me. What the fuck? He just did like a barrel roll. I'm sorry, did he just get out of the hole that I was stuck in, or did he get out of a similar hole? Because I swear to fuck, if he got out of the same hole that I was stuck in, I'm gonna be pissed. Yeah, fuck off. You literally look like you're wearing boxers. Fuck off. I'm gonna beat you with string. Fuck off, Saren the Hollow. I don't know where the fuck you came from, but you're not welcome, okay? Fucking Saren. I couldn't even hit him! It wouldn't even let me hit him! I'm sorry? I'm sorry? Now that pisses me off. It wouldn't even let me hit him. Are you kidding me? And now he's just chilling on the steps, the only way down. What the actual fuck? So I can't even go back down because he's guarding these stairs along with his buddy. And by the time I get back down here, he heals. What the fuck? That's so dumb. Look at that. Literally by the time I get back down here, he's healed. And then he's got his buddy to hit me from behind him. Ugh, that's so obnoxious. Fuck you. Fucking Saren. Bitch boy. What the? I'm sorry. Get the fuck off me. Do not. I see you. Don't. Okay, well now I have 2 wooden swords to play with, so that's something. Give me these. Give me my string. Oh my god. Don't with the lag. Don't. Okay, I already have enough not playing on my side. Where the fuck did you come from? And why are you at full health? My god, the instability is so irritating. Whoever created the ramen, whatever the fuck, kudos to you. You made the most irritating creature ever. Literally vermin. Wish I could crush him under my boot. Like, I like rats and mice. I fucking hate this guy. Glad he's not an actual rat. Because holy fuck. Okay, I need to kill this guy. Yeah, and it's black and you mean you shut the fuck up, okay? I can't do anything about the pitch black that is over there, okay? Fuck off, bro. Give me like a second to breathe. A second. Oh my god. Well, at least he's up there. Oh my god, fuck off, bro. There we go. Okay, he's dead. Poison, but whatever. Okay. Oh great, I have the shitty bandage. It's not shitty. Realistically, it's- what the fuck? I turn the corner and he one hits me. Ugh, I hate the fucking necks, dude. Yeah, look at you. You look disgusting. You're hideous. Yeah, get out of here. You're grotesque. Okay. Shit. So they have my torches. So I'm gonna have to steal a torch from somewhere or something. Actually, wait. I can do this. Oh, this is the original named guy that came out of nowhere, and I was like, where the fuck did he come from? Crusher of Dreams? Porque no los dos, my man. There's another guy down there, isn't there? No? Oh, none of my stuff is down here. Fun. Don't know why I expected otherwise. Anyway. There's a hole further down, but I'm not gonna break the rules. Oh my god, carrots! I don't even know what season it is, actually. So I could easily be planting my seeds in the wrong season, now that I think about it. That's not very hunky-dory. Also, this sword is gonna break soon. Healing salve, healing salve. Oh, I got a potato! When did I get a potato? I don't know when I got that, but that's awesome. I kind of want to go back upstairs and drop that off. Walked in, yellow jumpsuit, old booth, crack jokes. I just realized I ran over here all gung-ho, not thinking about the fact that there are things over there. But where the fuck are they now? Now that I need them. I don't see none of them. All I see is Slim. Iron saw. Golden hoe. Ooh, wait, golden hoe has magic? What? Huh? I'm gonna have to use this once the sword breaks, so I'm gonna keep this down here, actually. Oh, nope. Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. And we're gonna continue down here next time, because it is 9 o'clock, so I've officially been streaming for 2 hours. I also have a couple things I don't want to lose. Like, I don't want to lose... Yeah, I don't want to lose some of these enchantments I have. I also... Yeah, I upped my attack a couple. That's awesome. Is there anything else I can up? Can't up my mining. What about gathering? No. That's okay. Gonna sleep. The golden mechas or whatever the fuck out there are like losing it. Yeah, like I don't want to lose this iron saw and some of this shit. Like this is pretty cool. So, okay. Let's bring this back to the house. I got friends and you got friends. Recoup, get some more tools and stuff. I should probably make backups. I mean, I have a shit ton of iron and stuff anyway. So it's not like I'm hurting for gear or like stuff to make gear. Okay, I'm gonna assume I have to go this way to get back to the house. Which actually makes me surprised that I didn't find the place sooner. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's under the cover of the trees and stuff, but wow. Yeah, and look at that, my house is literally right here. Just a short little walk. That's insane. Okay, anyway. Got a lead. It's beautiful. I got friends and you got friends. They hop up and you hop in. I got friends and you got friends. They hop up and you have. Oh, I forgot I had these. Anyway. Let me throw the poison glands in there. Definitely throwing the healing salves in there instead. I'm gonna put the potato and the carrots in here. I need to figure out what season it is. Excuse me, because I don't know what season it is, which means I don't know if what I can plant and how long it takes to grow these things. I should look up some of this shit. I also need to just, in general, make like a downstairs for storage, because there is no room in here for all this, but that'll be next time. Okay. I need to... There. Okay. Yeah, so, anything else we do will be for next time. I'm gonna stream again, more than likely, tomorrow. Same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I have to cancel for any reason, or postpone, or not postpone, but like push it for a later time, like 9 or something, I will let you guys know on Twitter. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me see if anyone that I know is streaming currently that I can raid. Let's see. Alright, doesn't look like anybody I follow is live. So we're just gonna pop over into the Minecraft category. Actually, is anyone recommended? Everyone in my recommended is like pretty high up. Oh wait, actually perfect. Gym Leader Takeshi. Also playing RLCraft. And I've rated that person before. Hey boy. You're not actually here. Let's find someone just a little bit smaller, because he's got like 10 viewers right now. Sorry, 12. Holy shit. It always seems like he gets quite a few viewers. He's doing good for himself. I'm proud. I'm a little peckish. I might get a snack after stream. Oh, okay, why not? We're gonna raid Shadow's Eminence. 63 followers. 1 viewer right now. Playing better Minecraft. Alright, very cool. Alright. Sorry, anytime I'm hungry, it hits me out of nowhere, and it hits me hard. Like, I don't feel hungry until I feel like I'm starving, so now, like, my whole brain is just on snack mode. But yeah, we're gonna raid Shadow's Eminence. So I hope you guys enjoyed stream. If you did, and you haven't already, make sure to follow. I will see you guys in the next stream, which should be tomorrow. And I will also see you in Shadow's Eminence's stream in just a second. Have a fantastic night, everybody. Bye-bye.